Hi, my name is Sarah Needham. I'm a tech leadership coach and advisor. I work for Unique You Coaching, and I created Unique You Coaching because we have a fundamental lack of inclusive leadership being able to unlock the next generation of technology that we need to create a more sustainable future for life on Earth. So for me, it's really important that we put inclusive leadership back at the heart of innovative technology. I work with executive leaders and senior leaders in tech, and I help them actually get really close to who they are, what's important for them, so they can bring that across in their leadership. Because we're not having enough bold conversations in businesses, which means actually we're not able to create innovative technology, because innovation really is thriving when you've got a space where people can be themselves and people can show up and have difficult conversations about what actually matters. Within the leadership role that I have, I'm using technology as an enabler to actually bring people together across industries. And this can be, on platforms. I see a lot of businesses starting to leverage technology in a way which enables people. And yet there's so much more that we can do in creating these technologies that are more inclusive, that, are creating a space where people can really be themselves. Good leadership's unique to each person. So leadership really is about knowing who you are. So the courage to look at yourself, self-leadership, if you want to call it that. And then it's about connecting to the context in which you're working, your environment, the people, because your teams are changing constantly, the context is constantly changing. So being able to know how to leverage that. And then on the outer level, it's about contribution. What's the contribution that you bring? How do you use that to leverage your contribution, but also to maximize other people's contribution? And that as a leader is really important, is that we can use our skill sets to be honest, to be authentic, and to enable other people to really step up and be the best form of themselves. I never struggled with getting the next job or finding something exciting or challenging, but actually I never really meant to end up in aerospace as a starting point. And as I went through my life, we've got 2 adopted girls, and I was at a point where my girls were very young. I wanted to be a good mother. My mother was living in England, I live in Germany, and she was living in England with dementia. And my husband was traveling a lot, and quite simply I burnt out. So I woke up one morning and thought, what's going on? I've always been able to just keep going. And I knew I wasn't happy in my role, but I wasn't really aware as to how much pressure I was putting on myself. So I was off for about, 3 months or so. And while I was off, my mum actually passed away. And that was that moment where I was like, I need to take responsibility for making myself happy and for actually showing up and being that role model. For my 2 girls, because I want them to be able to really have that ability to have a role model in their lives that shows them how to have fun. Climate Kick in Berlin came to me and asked me to be their tech coach for their Green Tech Accelerator. And I was like, new technologies, people, I'm there. And it's grown since then. And really now I work with people like me 5 years ago who are in that space where they're not really sure, they know they don't really fit, but not really sure how to leverage their skills. And as I said, I work with senior executives in helping them unlock the potential, the limitless potential of the people in their businesses. I always talk about, the fact that, as we said earlier, there's 20% engagement. If you look at the latest Gallup stats, there's 20% engagement globally. And that's just such a waste of human potential. And I, as a leader and as a mother, as a citizen of this planet, I just don't accept it. I really struggle to accept that we're not finding ways, innovative ways, to actually really engage people in their full potential. We've got to have more courageous conversations in businesses. And if we don't create the space to do that, if we don't accept that all of us have got to get more uncomfortable to be able to create new solutions, then we're moving away from innovation. And that's not a space where any of us can afford to be right now. As a woman in tech, you are often the only woman in the room. I actually found through my career that being one of the only women was probably an advantage, if anything, because if I walked into the room, everyone knew my name, and so it didn't matter where we were out with customers or it didn't matter who we were working with. I had that visibility. I was always offered and challenged. I had really good mentors and people who were pushing me forward. But I didn't know how to look after myself. And it was almost like the higher I went, and I see this a lot, is the more vulnerable you feel, the more you actually struggle to be yourself because there are all these expectations coming from everywhere. And when people offer you things, you really I've always been that person who goes through a door as it opens because I want to explore, I want to be challenged. And sometimes that's not always the best idea. For me, it really is focusing in on creating more systemic change in businesses. When I work with people individually and they're kind of mid-senior level, I often say that there'll be three outcomes. They'll either re-engage boldly in their job, they will step up into a new role in the organisation because they fundamentally align with the organisation, they're excited by what the purpose is, but they can use their skills better elsewhere, or they'll step out and do something completely different. Now, those people that stay, probably after about 12, 18 months, quite often they're then coming back to say, I've really tried, I've done all these things, I've engaged boldly, the system is preventing them from really being able to actually live into what they've learned or they've discovered through coaching. And so in order to change or create more systemic change, we need to actually have these really bold conversations within the senior leadership teams. When I saw that this was being held in the studios, I was like, how cool is that? We're actually bringing the arts closer back to technology. And I honestly think it's got a massive part to play in how we can actually disrupt tech businesses in a positive way and give them new impulses and give leaders the opportunity to just play with something new and see something outside of their normal vision.